Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our next lesson. Today we are going to discuss Mark Twain as a writer, looking at his biography and discussing some of the main features of his writing. Dear students, Mark Twain is a very prominent figure amongst the literary circles of the American literature. He stands prominent as a humorist, as a satirist, ironic writer, uh, both in short stories, novels, and especially in literature for children. He is well groomed in. He is also famous for his uh, very scathing type of satire on the general condition of man in the modern age. Mark Twain, who was born in 1835 and died in 1910, was an American writer most famous for his children's books, especially The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, the second one being the most popular amongst his writings. Born as Samuel Clemens, he used the pen name of Mark Twain for his writing career. Samuel Clemens was born shortly after the appearance of Halley's Comet in 1835. He believed that he would go out with it as well. Halley's Comet appears about once every 75 years geologically, and Samuel died the day after its return in 1910. A very strange type of happening by nature. Mark Twain was born Samuel Clemens in 1835 in Florida, Missouri, USA. He was the sixth of seven children born to John Clemens, a lawyer, and his wife Jane, although three of Samuel's siblings died in their early childhood. Many of his stories were inspired by his adventures in Hannibal. When Samuel Clemens was 11 years old, his father died. To support his family, Samuel became a printer's apprentice at the Missouri Courier. He learnt a lot about writing and used public libraries in the evenings to educate himself informally. Later, Samuel worked as a typesetter for the Western Union, his brother Orion's newspaper. Samuel created articles and sketches for the paper and became known for his humor. Mark's first popular story, The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County, was published in 1865. It received international acclaim, and soon Mark Twain was one of the most famous American celebrities of his day. He was asked to write his first and best selling book, The Innocents Abroad, 1869, about his travels. It is a travelogue, rather. And other works followed, including Roughing It, 1872, The Prince and the Pauper, 1882, and Life on the Mississippi River, 1883. In 1870, Mark married 24-year-old Olivia Langdon, the daughter of a rich coal merchant. Parenthood led to Mark's famous river novels for children. He read each chapter to his family as he wrote them. The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, 1876, and its sequel, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, 1884, tell the adventures of two boys on the Mississippi River. Huckleberry Finn, in particular, has been called the great American novel, a tale of a white boy helping a black man to escape slavery in the southern states of USA. Dear students, Huckleberry Finn was also one of the first novels to feature the colloquial, that is, the everyday language of its characters. Mark Twain's river books, which are usually labeled as river books, as he is associated very closely to the river Mississippi, have been banned in places as some characters in them use offensive, racist language that was common at the time of the writing of these books. When Olivia died in 1904, Mark returned to New York and later moved to Reading, Connecticut. It was here that he died from a heart attack in 1910. Mark Twain was a talented writer, speaker, a humorist, columnist, novelist, short story writer whose own personality shined through his works. As his writing grew in popularity, he became a public figure and iconic American literary figure whose work represents some of the best in the genre of realism. Ernest Hemingway wisely observed about his writings. All modern American literature comes from one book by Mark Twain called Huckleberry Finn, and it is true to a very great extent. This book provides, although it is a travelogue and a travel book based on the adventures of a boy, but this book provided the basis for the American novels to come. The general stream of novels stemmed out of this book by Mark Twain. Thank you very much, dear students, for participating in this very short and brief session of our talk about Mark Twain as a writer, looking at his life history in short. See you soon, inshallah, in our next meeting about the stories included in our syllabus. Till then, it is Allah Hafiz and goodbye. Thank you very much again.